Hey y'all, we're back with another fun build today, but a quick reminder that if you have not clicked that subscribe button yet, make sure to go and do it right now. We are going to keep pushing the growth of this channel, and any subscribes are greatly appreciated. Comments, likes as well, obviously. But let's get into the build. So today we are going to be working on something that has been requested for a little while now, a free-to-play build. So what does free-to-play mean? Free to play means that you can completely recreate this build with items that you have gotten for free in game. Now that sounds pretty self explanatory, right? But it's not always. So I will say some items you have to grind for. Some items you have to, go on blueprint runs to get certain wallpapers and just different decor items that you'll see. Then we also have some free items that are going to be based off of drops, so Twitch drops. There are login gifts. So technically everything is free that is in this build, as well as the free to play build part 2 that will be coming out shortly after this. But do keep in mind that if you weren't playing at a certain time, you might not have access. They do currently actually have a system in the season shop where you can roll a season loot crate essentially and have a chance of getting past drops that you might not have gotten in the past. So definitely recommend checking that out. And if you're interested, I can make a video that shows you that. But yeah, so back into the build. We are currently working on a cabin in Way of Winter. So this is my first Way of Winter season, and I was so excited to just see the snow. There are other ways to see snow in other servers, but genuinely, Way of Winter was not long enough for me. I really did love getting to experience the snow, and I kind of just wanted to build a cozy but somewhat larger cabin that, again, is with all of the free-to-play build items. So you'll see me kind of going through the different materials. Something else to note is that this is actually free-to-play in phase 1 of any server that you're playing. So the way that the servers work is there are different rules as far as what tiers of the blueprints you can unlock. So for example, this particular build does not have any of the concrete items. So the concrete items in Way of Winter would not have been available until phase 2. So this is not only a free-to-play build, but it is also a phase 1 free-to-play build, which is super cool. So we're getting to the point where I'm kind of starting to get my foundation shape a little bit here. You'll see that I do have some foundations going opposite directions. I will say my choice to build this on a hill was slightly problematic. I don't know why I'm incapable of picking a flat plot. I think I just find them boring, and that just kind of results in me having to do some wild things with foundations. But basically what we're doing is a large vertical rectangle that has different layers to it. So you can see in the back here, I've done a little elevated foundation to add some variety. That's one of the biggest things is in order to create a build that is going to be visually interesting, variety and asymmetry are going to be your best friend. So here we are again. I'm grabbing a foundation. I'm in my mind, I'm like, ooh, I can use this new 2x1 foundation and I can put some storage here. So eventually that does become a little storage nook. Little cutouts here and there are what add the interest and the variety. So here's one of the issues you can see right there. I was placing the 8th walls and they did not line up. That is one of the struggles that you will encounter when you are working with different layered foundations. Things will clip to different items than you intend them to. So usually what it takes is just a little bit of removing it, putting it back, removing it, putting it back. You'll see me do that a lot in this build. It is something that I am guilty of doing pretty frequently, but I never really know what I want to do. I never really have a full plan. Like my only plan going into this was that I wanted it to be free to play, and I wanted it to be I wanted to make sure that it could contain everything that you would need for a beginner home. So that means I had to be a little bit bigger. I wanted to have designated spaces for those items as well, instead of just having, a big box and everything in one room. So you'll see as we get later into the build, I will add additional floors that you don't see yet that are going to be places where people can go and, have all of their productivity benches, like their crafting benches and things like that. But I really wanted this house to be usable. But with the differing foundations, as you can see again, everything's snapping to different items. It is definitely a struggle, but it's worth it. It's worth the struggle just to play around with the different tools and stuff. And I will say, you'll notice that for the roofing here, I am using the brick. So the brick is still unlockable in phase 1 of your server. You can use the wood, and I would traditionally build in wood, but I've been using the brick a little bit more, partially because they did give us all of the additional roofing pieces that have, like, you know, like different slants and different sizes that came out in one of the recent updates, as well as I really like the edges. So my problem with the wooden material is that the edges can be like, just they can look a little bit messy, especially for the roofing. Whereas I find, like, especially because I wanted this to be like a cozy cabin, the brick sides really kind of matched my vibe. We will eventually paint the brick itself with one of the free-to-play roofing prints that I have. But yeah, so here we are. I was trying to figure out the roofing design. I build really weird and sabotage myself with the roofing a lot, and I got annoyed with it. So then I took a break. I came back down here. I'll hop around a lot. We're adding another little railing up at the top. Then we're hopping down and adding more foundations. So as I'm doing this roof, it's creating other issues for me in the rest of the build. And when I say issues, they're not actual issues. You could very easily continue the build with the way that it was at the beginning, but in my builds, I like them to be as realistic as possible when it comes to foundational supports and things like that. So when I knew that I was going to extend that top part to make a little deck on the top area, that area up there ends up becoming a bedroom, actually. I was like, I need supports, right? Technically, in game, we didn't need the supports in that particular situation, but I decided that that was something that I wanted to add. So then that changed the bottom of the front of the house. And we will come back and we'll actually change it again at the end of the video because, again, I'm me. But here we are. We're kind of figuring out what I want the second and third floor to look like. So like I said, that top area is going to eventually become the bedroom. And as you can see, there is a roof just kind of really close to that staircase. I love the staircases. These staircases are base game. They are beautiful. They are a little bit of a pain. They are a little bit finicky. So you have to play around with them a lot when it comes to the pillars as well as the walls. So what you saw just there was a little clip. I'm sorry, this is sped up. It was going to be really long otherwise. Is one other thing that I've learned from playing The Sims actually is to constantly test your builds. I wanted to make sure that my character could actually walk under that staircase on the first floor. Technically first and a half floor because it's a little bit elevated. But that's something that's really important to me. Again, you don't have to do that. There are ways to get around it. I'm on a visional wheel on this server. I could fly around my house. I don't even have to use stairs. But when it comes to building, I like, again, to keep the integrity and make sure that it is as realistic as possible while still having some elements that maybe aren't entirely realistic. But that's a little way that I go through and just make sure that everything is usable. And you'll see me doing that in the furnishing build as well. I do go through and make sure that I can access my countertops and walk into the kitchen. And, you know, it's important to me for all of that to work. So here we are getting back to the roofing design. I love these triangular pieces. I can never make them work. They're just not meant for me. I don't know who they're meant for. It's not me. I think I ended up going back to one of the traditional ceiling prints there, or ceiling designs there, because I was just like, I can't. So here we are. We are into the painting portion. Something that I really enjoy is using these wainscoting prints here that we have. If you put them on a certain side, you actually do get that stone print, which is really cool. It's another way to use a base skin print in different ways. So here I am just kind of putting base prints down. This is going to change in part 2. I just kind of like to have everything even in one color so I can kind of process it, digest it, and figure out what I want to do. We do a little bit of decorating outside of this house as well in this particular VOD, but again, there is another VOD that is specifically the interior of this build. So keep that in mind that will be coming. But you could see me. I was like, okay, I need lights. I needed lights. The lights was the thing. I was like, I definitely need this. This is something that I require. So I needed to see a little bit more. And we went with, I will say, the base dark gray print that I use in here, like on the outside, is one of my favorite go-to base game prints. It is like a dark gray. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it. And it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of looks really nice on a lot of different things. So here I go back inside. You can see me, I'm painting some of the walls. I am adding some columns. I really like columns. I really do wish that they would add some more prints for the columns for base game. And here you can kind of see we ended up with a little bit of a lofted bedroom up top. We have not added the workstation yet. I didn't decide that yet, but we are going to get there. This is where I start to paint the ground, and here I'm like, oh, I have this platform. I should turn this into more of an area for outside. Oh, wait, there's not enough room. Let's add a little bit more foundation. So like I said, you might have thoughts of where you want your build to go, and there's nothing wrong with that, but also be open to try new things and to change it later. You might have spent 20 minutes on something that you end up changing later. And here we are, we're adding that white roof print, which I really, really love that roof print. Again, base game, all you got to do is just play the game and grind for it. Every map has different areas that have recommended blueprint runs is what they'll call them. For example, Manibus, Blackfell is a really big one. There's a bunch of different like buildings like the motel and the different hotels and stuff that have a tendency to give you a higher chance of blueprints. There are other ones as well. That's just the common one that I use. Here again, we're doing a little bit of lighting. One of my community members actually showed me this little trick where you can use the deviation lights and create a rainbow, which I really love. So we end up putting some ivy under that rainbow over to the right side, because any opportunity to add a rainbow to a build, why the heck not? But we're kind of just getting a little bit of a vibe of the outside. Again, it is supposed to be like a cozy cabin. So you will see in the next part that I do end up adding more wall prints on the outside that make it a little bit more cozy. I believe we add some brick, I think. But yeah, we're getting kind of close to the end here. I'm going back inside. This is where I decide that I need more columns. I always need more columns, and this little wall wasn't setting with me well, so I was trying to find something that was just a little bit different because I didn't like how it like exactly matched up with the railing. So we're going in, replacing that wall there. And here we go, adding some railings here as well. And then I'm just thinking about the logistics of the house itself and how it would be used. And this is kind of where I start to think about the idea of adding an additional working space. So here we are adding the little walkway across. So now when you go to that second floor, it's not just that landing. We actually have an open working space here. So that ends up being where I will put all of my smelters and crafting tables and stuff. And again, that just gives me opportunity to put more poles in the middle. I know it sounds silly, but little things like pillars, using all of the different smaller walls, all of that stuff is going to add variety to your build. And at the end of the day, variety is what is going to make your build interesting. And then here we have, I was messing around with the wainscoting a little bit, trying to see what was what. I gave up a little bit there, but eventually we end up using part of the wainscoting to do a little bit of a green wall, which is a nice little trick. Again, we did post about that if you want to go check that out. Essentially with the wainscoting, the way that it works is on eighth walls. The front of the wall will be the stone and the back of the wall would be color, or vice versa, pending the wall. It is not consistent between the different wall types, unfortunately, but it is a really cool way to just add variety, again, just for free. Add variety for free is always my go-to. Also, that floor print in the kitchen is one of my favorites because it doesn't always match up perfectly, but it's one of the floor prints that's a little bit more forgiving. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it is white with a metallic gold geometric design. And the way that it works is it basically will match it relatively closely. So it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be pretty darn close, which is nice. So that's something that I really like because I do like to use the circular foundations when I can. So definitely keep an eye out for that. All right, so here we are going through painting things again, messing with the eighth walls. I really love the wainscoting. I'm going to keep saying wainscoting. I really love the wainscoting. I did swap out for that white subway tile. Again, everything that I'm using in this is base game. So you can find these prints on your own. All you got to do is just grind for them, or you can buy them from other players in the game. Players will sell them in their vending machines. Definitely worth checking out if you have not yet. This is another little build trick that I like if you are ever looking for ways to add interesting elements to your builds. Those little triangular walls that you can hang from the tops of ceilings. I would highly, highly, highly recommend playing around with them. Just another way to add a little bit of an interesting element to your builds, and that works inside as well as outside. And here I am starting to work on my kitchen, which means we are coming to an end. We are going to be wrapping up this portion of the video. So thank you so much for watching. Again, this was the free-to-play part 1. This was the actual construction of the build itself. We will have another part 2 coming out with the interior. So if you're interested in seeing how this ends, knowing that it will 100% look different, make sure that you drop that subscribe and, you know, keep an eye out, put your notifications on, make sure that you have everything going to get those notifications when the videos do go live. Thank you again so much for watching today, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you for all the love and support. You are wonderful.